Welcome to another episode of Toon Talk TV, the top animated podcast on YouTube.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah, so that's a thing. Guys, we're back with another episode. What's shaking, Bacon?
Well, we all last night just got back from a fucking show, so we're feeling it today. We're fucking feeling it.
Yeah, last night was pretty cool. We're filming, I don't know if it doesn't really fucking matter, but this is our first live episode of Toon Talk TV.
Woo.
Live as in we're all in the same room filming together live. Which is different from
it doesn't
live
matter to
on
you guys.
YouTube. Yeah. Doesn't matter to you guys, but it's a monumental feat for us. But yeah, it's the pod where we talk about everything cartoon, and we always started off with what cartoons are you're watching. But before we get to that, don't forget to like and subscribe, visit our Patreon, and let's get into it. Al, what cartoon are you watching?
Hold on.
This
Hold
is
on.
weird.
Let's redo that. Let's redo this.
No, it's funny.
All right,
We're keeping it rolling,
right.
but it's so much
it's
weirder
awkward.
being in the same room with.
It is because we're not looking at the screen.
You don't have to.
You're
look at
talking
this,
over
guys.
here.
You don't have to look at the
all right,
screen.
All
We
right,
can just
whatever.
talk to each other.
So we're just
dude.
going. Okay, all right. So what I've been what I watched. Perfect time to watch this film. This is a freaking classic for me. Animation classic.
Okay.
I think it is an animation classic for everyone, but we'll see. Nightmare Before Christmas.
Classic.
Classic. So, is it a Halloween film? Is it a Christmas film? What do you guys think?
I think it's
Little bit of
technically a Thanksgiving film because
Kinda.
it takes place the day after Halloween, leading up to Christmas. Thus, it takes place in November.
Fair. So,
Perfect time for now.
exactly. So, I would say, so this is probably one of my favorite animations of all time, just because of, I still try to bring myself to what makes me enjoy this so much, and I think it is the pure amount of time that was put into this animation. Like you can see, so it was like a little movie set, even though it was all stop motion animation. They literally they had 20 sets in the making of this. They had 8 film crews making this. I think 100 plus technicians and animators.
Jeez.
And sometimes they had like 20 to 30 lights on the actual sets while they were actually making this, and it took them 3 years to make.
3 years is actually, I would have said longer.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, so they said it took about a week to get a minute done of animation, and this is actually with 8 sets, eight film crews filming at the same time. So like it's not just one group of people. They have 8. They're doing a bunch of scenes at the same time.
Say that one more time. 1 week for
1 minute.
So it is realistic in that scene in Parks and Rec where Ben Wyatt's like, check this out, what I've been working on all week.
And in the place where you... Oh, shit. I thought I thought it went for way longer.
So that's real.
Yeah. So another thing that was interesting to me, so why am I freaking forgetting his name?
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton. So Tim Burton is the producer of Nightmare Before Christmas. He wasn't actually on set at any point during the Nightmare Before Christmas. He was all the pre-production, and Selick, the director, was the one actually dealing with all the day-to-day.
Okay.
But you can arguably say that it's still mostly his creation because he created the story. Tim Burton created the story.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He created the tone. He created he drew all the characters beforehand. So, and I think that's still the best part about Nightmare Before Christmas, like the tone, the art direction. Yeah. You know, when you say, I feel like the creepy overtones of that is kind of make it.
That's kind of like what made, when you think of like Tim Burton style, that's his style, like this gothic overtones, overlays, things like that.
Right.
Even the instantly when people tell me like Tim Burton, it's like always either Batman or Nightmare Before Christmas,
right?
Are the two things that instantly pull me to his name.
And so would you say it's the art in those things that that make it a Tim Burton style?
Yeah.
I would say it's his voice. He has a clear voice. He knows exactly what makes him, and he pushes those, the creepiness, the
even when you see that in his like live action stuff.
Sure, yeah.
You can clearly see
it's
that
gothic.
This is a Tim Burton film.
Yeah.
So I didn't know this, but one of his first short films, Vincent. Have you guys ever seen that?
The little kid from Frankenweenie?
Yeah. Okay. So I actually never seen Frankenweenie.
That's pretty good.
It's very much like the same claymation art direction as Nightmare Before Christmas, and that was made almost a decade before.
Yeah.
This was another topic that kind of was interesting to me. So he is no longer working for Disney, and he doesn't plan on going back.
Yeah.
He said that it was mainly because they're focused on their main franchises like Star Wars and Marvel. And he feels like there's not really a place for him to be truly creative anymore. Make original stuff like this, bring it to the table. He doesn't feel like those ideas are welcome at Disney anymore. Do you think that that's a huge fuck up on Disney's part?
No. Well, Disney's a machine now. So they're not fucking up because money's coming in no matter what, and all of their things are getting pumped out like a machine. So it really doesn't matter if they have original content anymore. But it is a fuck up to not utilize like Tim Burton or something.
Right.
But he can go off, make a film on his own, and I'm sure
anyone will take it.
Anyone, yeah.
I'm pretty sure his next stuff is coming on Netflix. Which, you literally just take your stuff and bring it to anywhere. And
I think you're right. Like early days of Disney, maybe they're like, oh, we don't want to lose this guy. He's bringing in money. But now their money sum is so big that they're like, he's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
Like, the next Tim Burtons, or we got that guy pumping out stuff right now.
Yeah,
so like, I do like though that now, this may be wrong, but sometimes I feel like Disney handcuffs people. Like, you're gonna do a movie, you're gonna do it the Disney way.
Yeah.
Now he can go to a Netflix or HBO or wherever he wants, any other studio, and they'll be like, all right, be as Tim Burton as you want. We don't give a shit. Do whatever you want to make a Sausage Party-esque animation.
Yeah.
Do that. Like, do those type of things.
So one more thing. They brought up the idea of making a sequel to Nightmare Before Christmas, and Disney did. They did make a sequel. They said, here, we have a sequel, but it came out as a book.
What the fuck?
Long live the Pumpkin Queen.
Ugh.
So the idea was brought to Henry Selick of making that into a animation. And Tim Burton and Henry Selick said it was a no possible chance, because they said if we were going to do it, we're not going to do it like the way you made it the first time. We're going to do it 3D animation.
Oh God, fuck them. Seriously, because I heard, I don't know if it was this guy you're talking about, but he's had some type of connection to Nightmare Before Christmas, and he might have been the director. What was the guy's name that was there?
Henry Selick.
Okay, it might have been this guy, but I saw, and it might have been him. I'm not sure, but it was a similar. He had his hands a lot in the claymation world, and he did stuff where like certain textures on character models fuck up the animation. So like a feather or something, like if it shimmers in the light or something, you're actually increasing the amount of fuck ups per frame. Sure. Because if one frame looks like has a shimmer from the next, you're just going to be like kind of shaking. It's going to be like out of place. Okay. And people don't like to put those textures in them. he wanted to, because he wants the each frame to look like it's claymation. He wants it to, that part to shine out, because that's the medium, and he wants to show the fuck ups, the small.
Yeah.
I think it's part of the art style.
It's it's great when you see those, when Jack, like Skellington, like if there's like little fuck ups in there, it looks good.
Right.
Like it you want to see those. So when you put it in a computer and make it 3D, those fuck ups are actually like, there's no, like, everything's so perfect, so you actually have to go and attempt to make fuck ups to make it look more real.
Yeah. Now, I would have said at first I would have been like, yeah, I definitely agree with them, but you showed me something last year, but that was a spoof of Nightmare Before Christmas by Flashgitz.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that?
I'm not.
He does a podcast with they do a podcast with Meat Canyon called Cream Crew or something.
Okay.
They might have stopped it by now, but they're same type of thing. They do parody animations, but
now, so how that looked amazing to me, and that was all done in probably like a blender. Okay, so that I think it's possible to do.
Yeah, you might be right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're gonna make a claymation.
Oh, I would
Next one.
I would fucking love to, dude.
Final thoughts on that. I do think it falls in the Thanksgiving category. Always loved Nightmare Before Christmas. I watch it on Halloween, not on Christmas.
Same.
Because I'm too busy watching A Christmas Story on repeat. I don't have time to watch anything else. Brett, what cartoons are you watching?
I'm really excited about this one. If I go back and look at all the cartoons that I told you guys to watch,
okay,
I feel like this lands in like top priority for me, because when I watched this, it blew me away. It's called Interface by Umami. And Umami is his YouTube name or social presence. His name is Justin Tomchuk in real life, but it is, honestly, I feel like this generation's 2001 Space Odyssey, but made by it. The visual style is in like a DOS computer game.
That's sweet,
dude.
Interesting.
It looked like it was made in MS Paint, but the guy spent hours and hours making these like frames. The animation isn't. I mean, the animation looks great, but it's minimal. It's what it is the visual style is amazing. I found the way I found this is normally I'll put YouTube, like on a day-to-day, I work on a computer, so I'll be doing my work and I'll put YouTube on in the background. And at the start of the day, I've got my once you throw YouTube on, you've got your classic, like, you got the algorithm working for you already. And I've got the same shit like every day. And one day I was like, I'm watching the same fucking videos every day. And I scroll over to the new to you section, and I see this shot, and it's from Interface, and it looks oddly familiar, but like it's got this nostalgic tone, but it's super fucking creepy too. And it's a 2-hour long movie on YouTube. So I'm like, I gotta watch. I'm gonna watch this later. Like, so I put it in my watch for later. But it is he. All right, how do I put this? So it feels like, it looks like a horror-ish, but there's not any horror content. It's just he asks questions like, what came first, man or God, and then has the balls to fucking answer it in the fucking movie.
That's crazy.
And it's just visually stunning. It follows there's two main characters. It's this character named Mischief, who reminds me, and he's a shapeshifter and reminds me of Pennywise.
Okay.
He's got, it's this pink. He changes shapes throughout the entire film, but and he is kind of the voice in the other main character's ear, and his name is Heinrich. And Heinrich, for 2 hours, doesn't say one fucking word in the entire film.
Holy shit!
And it's amazing. So he did the entire soundtrack. The music throughout it is fucking amazing. It's gold. It's a must watch. I definitely recommend anyone to go watch it. He put it in. It's now currently in a bunch of animation festivals and is doing very well.
So was that made recently?
Yeah. So this is another interesting part about it. I think it might have been started like 4 years ago or something, but he would put out a 1 minute segment of it, like maybe 1 to 2 minutes. It started getting bigger, longer, like to like 6-minute segments. But he would like work on that for a few months, put it out on YouTube, and it would be like a 1 minute animation. Then he'd work a few more months, put that out on YouTube. It'd be and it would just be almost like an episodic thing. So he had all these clips, and then after it was done, over 4 years or something, he just put it all together. So now it's a 2-hour long film.
Did they stand alone, the clips? Or?
So that's what's interesting about this, is it's so, it has an atmosphere where you can watch them. It's almost like an art-ish. It's ambiguous, and it's almost like walking through an art museum. Like you can appreciate every shot just
for what it is.
Yeah. So but when you put it together, it was a fucking masterpiece. And the cool thing about it, he also takes iconic imagery, like like the Pink Floyd album cover where they're like shaking hands, or that like there's the pier. I'm not naming any of the artists. I'm an idiot. I should have wrote these down. But the like he's standing on a pier where the guy's screaming. Yeah. And he takes these images and inserts them in the film in his own style, and they're just like, sometimes you just don't, you pass it by and you'll see one of those shots, and that it gives off like a weird nostalgic feeling, like, wait, I've seen that before, and then it moves to the next shot. And it was the first time I saw it, it looked like nightmare fuel, but he put it out on a VHS, which also enhanced it. But the second half of the film, he had the first half of the film on YouTube, and then the second half. And the second half, YouTube put an age restriction on it. It said only 18 and up can watch this. And he said, why? There's no reason.
Yeah, right.
And
protecting our youths.
Well, that's the funny thing about it, is if you like, there's no content in it that should be over the age of 18, but it is nightmare fuel. You watch it and it looks horrifying. Like
really?
It's just it.
Who decide? I thought it was like on YouTube. It's more of just like, check if you see boobs, if you say a swear.
So
you know what I mean?
so he complained about it. He went on a rant on Twitter, and everyone was with him, and he got it
taken off.
The 18
age restriction.
The age restriction taken off. So yeah, now you can watch the entire film on YouTube. His name is Umami, UMAMI. And it's a must watch.
So going back a little bit, you mentioned this character Mischief, shapeshifter, different all the time. As an animator, how difficult is that, where one of your characters is basically changing every frame? Like, you're basically having to draw a new character every single time, right?
Yeah, so that's the other interesting thing that drew me to this, is normally you rig a character so you could take that character and drop them into different shots.
Yeah.
He animated this all in Photoshop, which you can't, there's no rigging involved in that. So honestly, it inspired me to open up because you can animate in Photoshop, but you don't have the tools that like in Flash or other programs like Toon Boom. You can like take a like
motion tween.
Yeah, well, you take a symbol. You take a drawing, make it a symbol, and you could put different parts of their body in there and like almost log it. Like, oh, I've got this motion. I've got this eyes, this mouth set. In Photoshop, you can't really do that. You literally have to draw every frame. So if he's drawing every frame,
I mean, you could copy and paste.
Sure, you can copy and paste, but the shots, their camera angles are all over the place.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's why it took 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's start work on a 3-year cartoon right now. Today. 3 years from now, we debut this cartoon that we've been working on.
It better
for 3
be
years.
something good, man.
5 minutes long. But no, that was the. I'm gonna have to watch this because that's an interesting thing for me. I see how hard you guys work on the stuff that we do, and then just to fathom and think like you're having to basically draw the character every single time, and you did that for 3 years, and you got a 2-hour film out of it, like.
Well, and it's really brutal. Cool too. You see his animation grow from the start of the film to the end. He actually became a better animator by the end. That's cool. So at first there was these shots that were like minimal animation. It was just like visually stunning. Yeah. And then those visually stunning shots started like
getting better and better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how the first animators did it without the computer. You got to redraw every single
Mickey Mouse, dude.
Yeah, but he made all of the. I mean, he comes out with records and albums too. So he is cool. Doing the sound design. The music was amazing. It's the guy's nuts.
I got to check that out.
Buy the Toon Talk record coming soon.
What about you, Nick? What have you been watching?
I've taken a little step back in my animation watching, and I went back to a time where Cartoon Network was booming. It couldn't do no wrong. They were just pumping out classics all the time. And I went back and started watching JG Quintel's regular show.
Okay, yeah.
8 seasons. The reason that I went back is because he does, much like The Simpsons, not Treehouse of Horror thing, but he does, I think it's like Park Tales of Horror, and each season has like a Halloween-themed episode. So during Halloween time, I went back, watched a little bit, and now I'm putting it on while I'm having my coffee or working in the morning. But regular show is like fantasy adventure type thing. You kind of like Adventure Time. It's just the story revolves around Mordecai and Rigby, a blue jay and a raccoon. They're just little park buddies, slackers that love playing video games and getting into trouble. And the show is almost kind of modeled after his life. He grew up in California, and he's like, the town that I'm from was like pretty flat, didn't really have shit to do. So I was just making trouble with my buddies. And you see some of these tropes in the stories that they tell because it's kind of like almost misadventures. It's not like they're going out to cure cancer or solve. They're just like, hey, let's get some soda. You know, there's a lot of what do you call it? Like, he says soda, but you can really get the impression that metaphors. Yeah. Like it's really beer is what they're getting hopped up on soda and shit.
Cartoon
like that.
Network used to be great at doing that with Dexter and all that shit.
Yeah.
But they don't push the limits anymore.
But it's like, hey, the adventure is we got to get to this movie and we don't have enough beer. Or like the episode, and that's it's just stupid shit like that, and it's a very season 1 is cool, but it much like you said, it gets better and better and better with each season. They introduce more characters. It's just it's always like the same 5 guys. There's a gumball machine, Benson. There's Skips. He's like a Yeti. There's Pops. He's a giant lollipop. High Five Ghost, which is just a ghost with the high five on his head, and then there's Muscle Man, who's just like this hillbilly goblin type character. But it's one of those shows that I like going back to and watching and seeing if I miss things that are hidden. But yeah, I highly recommend it.
There's 8 seasons of that?
8 seasons.
Have I ever sent you the there's a clip on YouTube. We'll link it in the description. But he had a college project, animation, that was the start of a regular show. He used those characters in this animation, and it was like a short film, and I think all of them are in there. I might be wrong, but it was the Gumball Head and
oh yeah, you have sent that to me. Yeah.
They're in, and it's adult content. So they're in a gas station, and they end up like accidentally taking drugs or something. I forget exactly what happened, but I love shit where you can see like where the character came from, and like it's all black and white stuff and 2D animated.
I do like when you see the origins of something.
Yes, yeah.
Like kind of starting it in like art class when you're like a senior in high school, and then you just grow these characters, and then like boom, you got a fucking 8-season TV show of these guys that you created when you're fucking drunk one day type thing. Have any of you ever watched regular show? Like
I've seen episodes. I haven't watched seasons through.
It's for me. It kind of sometimes I like watching stuff that I can relate to, and this was a show when I was watching it, back in when it was still on Cartoon Network, that was kind of relatable. They just love playing video games. They love going to parties. There's the Halloween episodes. They're like in costume doing shit, and I'm like, I do this stuff too. They they hate going to work, working part-time jobs. Like they fucking hate doing shit like that, and I really enjoy relatable not to say that I love all types of toons and animations and anime and stuff like that, but when I can really relate to characters, it draws me in that much more.
Sure.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good show. I mean, I should watch it, but I feel like the times that I have, you could put it on in the background, and there's so much content of it, you could just let it keep running, and you hear like jokes like pop up. So I think it's a good, like, the watchability of that show and rewatchability is good. Yeah.
And the cool thing is, like, so each episode is basically like either 2 or 3 mini episodes. So like they're maybe like 7-minute shorts.
Cool.
Okay. And so it creates like a bigger story, but you watch like the first 7 minutes and it's like drinking beer is like the episode, and then conflict resolution, that little segment ends, and then the next one is like Halloween party, and then it just rolls into another one. So how do you guys do you like animations like that where it's like maybe 2 things that make a full episode, or do you prefer it to be like one continuous story?
Oh no, I love those.
I was just talking to you about that the other day. I think if you can take just a formula and place your characters into it, whatever it may be. Going to the 7-Eleven, going
to get po' boy sandwiches,
playing video games, having to go to work, and drop them in, do a short little, almost of a skit.
That's what it is.
And then you don't have to pick up where you left off. No. You could just start a whole fresh idea. I personally, those are my favorite kind of characters.
It's almost I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, is it more difficult to write a shorter story than it is like the long? I mean, because I feel like when they're like these like 7-minute cartoons, you need to wrap it up quicker. Is that more difficult or not?
I think from a writing standpoint, it's because you get in your own head. You want to tell like the best story possible. So you're like, oh man, like this, here's what happens in 20 minutes. But then you're like, no, like you got to do it. Take that 20, do it in 5. And they're like, holy shit, how do I cram? So writers tend to overthink that kind of stuff, but the good ones are able to tell a full, that character wheel that we were talking about, the character does that. They're able to do that in, maybe they skip a few steps, but in like 5 minutes. I personally find it very difficult to do that because I do overthink things, and I'm like, well, I really want this guy to turn Super Saiyan, and it's going to take him 20 minutes instead of 5.
Well, you do get more connected to the character that way. You're more emotionally invested in a character that you see their journey, like from like not being powerful at all to they trained for 10 million episodes and then okay, now they're Super Saiyan type thing. But the alternative though is like but that's not the rewatchability and watchability of those shows are not great because you watch it once and it's so heavy. But these smaller shows where it's a short like 3 to 7 minute episode, it's light. They're just going out to get an ice cream and might but
most of the time you pump those out so there's plenty more episodes to watch. You know what I mean? You're not just there may not be as much emotional grasp that you're going to get from that episode because there's not as much of a backstory, not as much character building. But I almost think it's kind of funny how and recently I've seen it a lot more where they break the fourth wall and just comment on that they skip the whole
you just got really you just turned Super Saiyan in 2 minutes like that type thing
like She-Hulk. That's
oh man
punches through the Disney
but no, you like it. The creative minds to think of these shorts are also worlds beyond what I can think of because kind of like you said, the short is like going to the gas station and they leave the house and they say, go into the gas station real quick. And maybe they walk a few feet and then fall in a hole and that hole leads to like the pit of hell. And then they got to battle some demon to get out of it. And they do that in 2 minutes. And then he'll come back to the house and the joke is like, hey, I thought you were going to the gas station. And he's like all beat up and like shit. Like
yeah. It's lighter. Yeah, I feel like you can't make a heavy script in 7 minutes, and that's why. It's like that content, you could put that in a movie, and it now immediately, if you do that within 2 hours, that shit you're going to be more emotionally invested.
Yeah. But no, so Toons, regular show, Nightmare Before Christmas, and Interface. I would say I'll throw another animation in there real quick, but Wendell Wild is a stop motion that just came out on Netflix. We'll link that trailer in the description, but if you haven't seen that one, check that out. That is the guy who did Coraline.
Okay, cool.
It's his new one, and it stars Key and Peele. Keegan
nice.
Key and Jordan Peele.
That's the guy I was talking to. I watched a sit down with him talking about his characters, and that's the guy who was talking about the feather and
okay.
So
yeah. But yeah, that one's a cool. I highly recommend that one if you enjoy stop. I'm a sucker for stop motion stuff. I love Fantastic Mr. Fox, Paranorman, Nightmare Before Christmas. Obviously, Wendell Wild was cool. Love all that shit. Anything else before we wrap up the episode?
I don't think so.
No.
Be sure to like, follow, subscribe. Again, check out the Patreon. Patreon.com/WeAreTheTelevision. Got some cool merch on there. Behind the scenes footage. You can buy a sweet Toon Talk mug like you see on the screen here. Sipping out of that. It's going to make your day better. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.
We are the television.